Hello, welcome back to Elemental Cats Part 3. Part 3, wow. We're going somewhere here. We've worked previously on this little guy, Nitrogen, who we're going to add some more details to. So far we've filled him out, we've stuffed him, we've given him his little eyes, and we've given him the most important thing of all, the atomic symbol. The next thing we're going to do is give him some wings. Now, I mentioned earlier he's going to get wings because he is a major component of the atmosphere, so the wings kind of symbolise that. So, we're making the wings out of felt. The way we're going to make these is, if you just let me get these, we have two pieces for each wing. We have the main wing and we have an outer, little inner wing, and that just gives it a little bit of depth, as you can see there. Obviously it's not a massive high detail model, it's just a tiny little cartoon plush cat, but you can see the wings are going to go like that eventually. But obviously we want to give it a little bit of depth so it's not just a bit of flat felt. Oops. So how we're going to put these together is by needle felting. If you've ever needle felted before, if you haven't, this is the felting needle. You can't really see on the video, but it's got little barbs which catch the fibres, so when you stab into it, they will stay put, and you can kind of build a shape. Now, this is fairly simple, because we're just going to be putting one bit, attaching one bit to the other. So what we're going to do here, oh dear, what we're going to do here is lay it down on this, and this is just a block of upholstery foam. You can buy kind of felting mats, but really just general everyday foam will do. This is you can get this from furniture supply shops, furniture repair type places. It's very easy to get your hands on. You just need to cut it to size. So there's actually two blocks here because it's fairly narrow, and that just gives you something to stab. So you stab it down like that. It makes a really satisfying noise. I do like the noise it makes. And on into there. So if we just keep doing that. You'll see we've got a nice little structure here, but obviously it's a little bit of a mess, so we want to tidy it up on the other side and do some tiny little insertions into here. And just kind of clean up the fuzz that comes from the other side. Obviously we want to kind of get the edge sourced as well. Oops. You do stabby things a lot in this, by the way. Expect blood. Expect pain, expect fear, expect... Not really pain or fear, is it? Just ow! Ow! I stabbed myself. But yeah, it happens. Don't worry about it. So we're just going to felt the edge down so it doesn't look like this big seam there. So, we talked a little bit before about nitrogen's role in the atmosphere. It is roughly 70% of the atmosphere is nitrogen. And you might be wondering, why is that? Because it's not like oxygen, where it's got a specific importance. Obviously it is important to life, it's part of proteins, but in the atmosphere there's not very much we can do with it. So why is there so much? And it's kind of because we can't really do very much with it. Nitrogen does not generally occur in nature as single atoms, it occurs as a molecule of two atoms, which is more or less the same as oxygen. Oxygen is generally in the form of a molecule of two atoms. And the bond between two nitrogen atoms is incredibly strong. It's a triple bond as opposed to the more regular double or single bonds which you normally see in chemistry. And that makes it an incredibly strong bond. It's one of the strongest bonds in nature, which is also why it's very difficult to get it out of the atmosphere into our bodies to make proteins. And because of that, that's why there's so much of it there, because it is very inert and it basically kind of sits around doing not an awful lot, very much at all, because nothing will react with it. So let's look at that. You can see we've just kind of fluffed up the edges there. It's not that easy to see, but there isn't a obvious seam there. It looks a bit more rounded and natural. That's one wing. The other wing, obviously you want to make sure they're a mirror image of one another. Oops, a bit of fluff there. And onto that. So again, I'm going to keep doing that. Now, mentioning nitrogen in the atmosphere is very inert. That's kind of the opposite of oxygen. And even though oxygen is very vital for life, just moving a little bit aside, but oxygen had these wings as well, so it's kind of related. Moving slightly aside, oxygen on the other hand is very reactive, which is part of why we freely use it in our bodies. It's part of the metabolic chemical reactions that go on inside us. Very complicated things. Very, very complicated things. And because of that, the only reason why we've got, say, about 20% oxygen in the atmosphere is because it gets constantly replenished by plants. If this didn't happen, then we would basically use up all the oxygen and suffocate to death, which would not be very nice at all. But basically, this is kind of why we've been thinking, because we've been obviously looking out into space and looking out into extrasolar planets. Very exciting stuff. I love space. And it's been suggested that one of the ways in which we might want to look for life on these planets is to see if there's any oxygen in the atmosphere. Because if there's oxygen, it means something has to be putting the oxygen out, otherwise it would be reacting with other chemicals, and we wouldn't see free oxygen in the atmosphere. So not quite nitrogen related, but very, 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 very different from nitrogen, which could be sitting in the atmosphere doing nothing really. On the other hand, nitrogen compounds might be very interesting indeed. Because nitrogen compounds, particularly ammonia, often also come from living things. So that might be a sign of life too. Free nitrogen itself is very, very lit. So there's two little wings, and now we want to attach them to our cat. Just going to go on like that. So let's get needle and thread. Here we go. Oops. So I just have some threaded here. We are going to attach this onto the... Oops. I always kind of do it double-stranded. It's just the way I like to do it. Okay. Oops. No my scissors. I'm knocking everything today. Sorry. Busy day, busy day. So let's do this one first. So we're just going to slip that up there. I'm going to go onto the base and just tie that. So you've got that there. And now we want to attach it onto the back. So for this, we're just going to use a regular slip stitch, kind of slip stitch, ladder stitch type thing, kind of like how we did when we were sewing up the body after stuffing him. So like so. So on there. And again, that kind of hides the edges. Put some in the side. Oops. So we're just going to sew that on there, round that bit, around the back, and I will be with you in a minute. And another cut later, we can see that nitrogen now has his wings. So two little wings here. So each wing is sewn with kind of a ladder stitch up there, and then back down there, so there's no obvious seam. It just kind of sits in there and the fluff pretty much hides it. So he's ready to take flight now. So he's more or less close to finished. We want to add a couple more little finishing touches. First of all, he's got no nose and mouth, so we really need to sort that out. I mean, he's an atmospheric cat, so he really should be able to breathe. So we're going to add some in with this. This is just plain old embroidery thread again. Typical six-stranded cross-stitch type thread, and semi golden colour. So we generally have to kind of insert it. This never looks very nice at all. You can insert it under the neck because you're gonna have a knot at the end, and it's gonna, you want it in an inconspicuous place. So up there, and then up through the muzzle. Oops. And this is sometimes a bit of a difficult thing to do because the thread is quite thick, but there you go. So you've got a tiny little knot there. I very often like to put something, that's why I very often like to put a decoration around the neck, just hides that little knot. And a few little bit across the nose there. Oops. And again, you can see this is often very, very tough because you're going through several layers of fabric with very thick thread. So it can be a little bit hard. Okay. So make sure that bit isn't pulled too taut. So again, we're just kind of going through how we would make it. So it's just a few little stitches across. It's just a nose shape. We're not going for anything particularly realistic. Just want that look. Oops. See, the problem is you're going across kind of a major seam area, so there's very often a lot of stuff in the way. Give me a minute. Sorry about that, some things you just have to resolve off camera. And there we go, we're kind of starting to get a little nose there. Just ease that in. And we'll just do kind of one more just across there, and we'll take it out a little bit below the nose, and that's going to form the line down to the mouth. And there we go. So we just want to make sure to be careful with that side, because it very often gets pulled taut and it gets a bit pinched. And up through there. This is also just kind of a simple nose and mouth for a cat. And then if we go down there, that's one side of the mouth. Oops, let's just kind of pull that off then. I really like to put up with resistance, you can probably see, but we will get there. Oh, get tangled around his legs. Then back up to the line and then down there. Back through. And if we just go in there, you'll see that we're starting to get a little mouth. So into there. And then back through underneath the chin where we went in. And there we go. It's a little bit of a mess. Let's just pull that back out. Move the bits of fluff on the side. Put that out of it so it's not. Just tug it out so it's not quite stuck underneath all the fluff, so you can't see it. And there we go. You've got a nice little simple nose and mouth. So it's nothing particularly elaborate. Depending what. If you want to make a really complicated stuffed animal, you might have a really complex embroidery design here. But in this case, it's just a few little stitches by hand, nothing special. And underneath there. Oops, where the scissors go? Do you know, I have so many problems with scissors. They're not blunt, they're running away on me. I just think, you know, put everything to hand before you start. But no. I've just never been the most organised person in the world, I'm afraid. So there we go, wings and a little face. So now all that's really left to do is to add in a few extra markings. So this little guy we want to put in a snowflake pattern. Again, for the because of the property of liquid nitrogen, very, very cold, very often used to freeze tissues. And so we will move on to that in just a minute. Hello, welcome back one more time. So we have finished up, more or less finished up nitrogen. We've got his symbol, we've got the wings, and we've got his little nose. So now we just want to kind of decorate him a bit. So we're going to go back and put in the snowflakes that I mentioned. So I've got some kind of regular snowflake shapes out of felt here. They're not brilliant, but it's felt, it's not particularly high resolution, and we do kind of get the image across. That's the most important thing. So we want to attach this onto his body. How are we going to do that? I'm going to put the main one here. I always kind of like to have a big detail thing kind of opposite the symbol, just so that side isn't too blank. So we're going to again use needle felting. If we go back our little guest star neon again, you see he's got these stripes, and these are needle felted onto his body. It's not a particularly secure method. If you're going to make a toy that's going to be played with, I wouldn't do this. But these are kind of little display collectible toys, so it doesn't matter if they're a little bit fragile. But again, if you have something that's going to be played with, it's going to get some rough treatment. It's going to go through your washing machine. I wouldn't do this. I would find another way of making markings. But for felted details, on a collapsible toy, it works very well. So, got our frazzing needle back again. So we just want to lay this down, and this time you just want to stab into the body. Looks very painful. Oops. And here we go. So, of course, neon isn't the only one I've done. I've done loads of these. If you see anything with a little bit of felt detail on the side, it's probably don't do this. So, I'm going to see a few of them. I'll show them off for you. So again, we've got neon, and we can bring on some more. And if we just keep pushing that down, and then kind of looks a bit like a flower, really, doesn't it? I think you can tell. Just on the side, it's got to be a snowflake. And in and in and in. Just keep going. And this is a rather odd thing to do. This is a little probably a bit odd if you've never needle felted, but you can kind of needle felt onto a surface like this, because it pushes, again, the needle will push the fibres in. Make a very crunchy noise as it goes, and as it does that, it will kind of jam them into the body, to the base fabric, into the stuffing below. And it will hold pretty fast, and for gentle handling anyway. So there we go. Got a little snowflake on his side there. So a couple more. We shove this on his shoulder perhaps, so we don't want to make the pattern too regular. Oops. So a little more about nitrogen. So the snowflakes are here because nitrogen, liquid nitrogen really, not nitrogen in the air, is very, very cold. It will liquefy at a very low point. I don't have a point on me, but suffice to say, it's cold. So what would you want to use liquid nitrogen for? Very, very useful stuff. It's very useful for preserving tissue samples and cells in biology. If you need to freeze something, very, very useful. Also very, very useful for cooling machinery. So if you need a it's very cheap, easy to get to coolant, obviously, because nitrogen is very abundant, and you don't really need to fix it into a chemical compound. You just liquefy it. So it's very, very widespread as a coolant. So I'm going to put one little snowflake. I'm going to put on just kind of off center a little bit. Oops, get back here. I just go on the forehead, and in we go. This one's a little bit trickier because we've got the quite a lot of seams in this area. But if you just keep trying, it'll go in. Come on, you. There we go. So give it a good few stabbings. Just make sure it's really, really integrated, especially with these little sticky out bits on this guy. I think we've got a little something here. Yay. So I think that looks pretty nice. I'm gonna go for something very simple here. And obviously I don't think he needs much more decoration because he's always got his wings, he's got his fluffy tail, bit of felt stuck in it. Get there you. And I think he is ready to go. So that's him kind of sitting next to the arms. That's two fully finished elemental cats. So this little guy is not going to be up for sale straight away. I'm finishing off the batch that he's part of because, as I mentioned before, I do these guys in batches of about 4 at a time. So some of them are done, some of them are currently in progress. So that will be that'll come out later. Now I'm aiming to get these guys out by May the 25th. Strictly batch. That's actually a clue as to the identity of one of the cats in the batch, but I'll leave you to work that on your own. It's not this guy. Let's just mention that. It's not anyone you've seen just yet, but it is a clue. So we'll see you then. So salt and nitrogen. How are these all done? Thank you very, 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 very much for watching, and bye bye.